Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm Michael and we're going to be getting right back into some more Reddit stories. If you enjoy the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Now, without further ado, let's begin. This story was posted by a throwaway account in the AITAH subreddit. The post is titled, "My friend told me she loves me 4 weeks before her marriage. My 35M friend B 35F just told me she loves me 4 weeks before my marriage, and I am not sure what I am supposed to do here. I want to know if I am doing the right thing. To give some context, I lost my wife 2 years ago. I have a 5-year-old daughter. I have not dated in the last 2 years because I have major trauma from losing my wife. I still love her a lot and don't think I'm ready to move on. I invested all my time in my daughter and my work to keep my sanity for the last 2 years. I have been friends with B since we were in elementary school. We lived in the same neighborhood growing up and were best friends. She is an awesome person and we were inseparable growing up. The weirdest part was we had completely different personalities. She was very outgoing and always had a lot of friends. I am a big introvert and B, along with a few friends, was all I needed. B was a serial dater and I don't remember any time since middle school when she was single. B and I never dated though. B and I also went to the same college. She never had a stable boyfriend but just jumped from one relationship to another. I, on the other hand, did not date seriously until I was in my junior year. When I met my wife, she was a freshman and we hit it off instantly. We fell for each other and spent all our time with each other. This strained my relationship with B as I would generally hang out with my wife instead of her. That was the time B and I slowly started drifting apart. After college, I moved to a different town for my job, and B and I occasionally messaged each other, but nothing beyond that. B attended my wedding, and that was the last time I saw her. We kept in touch, mostly by commenting on each other's pictures or updating each other on significant life events. B did reach out to me when my wife passed away, and we talked on the phone. Last year, B and her fiancé moved to my city. I was still grieving and both have been amazing support for me and my daughter. My daughter loves dancing and B helped me enroll her in dance and gymnastics classes and sometimes takes her to them. I also became good friends with her fiancé, who is indeed an incredibly good man. My daughter loves Auntie B and B sometimes helps me babysit. Last week, B came to my house and asked if we could talk. Her tone sounded serious. She told me that over the last few months, she feels like she has started to develop feelings for me and is no longer sure if she wants to go ahead with the wedding. She felt I had also started developing feelings for her. I told her that I am not ready for any relationship until I can deal with my mental health. She tried to convince me that she loved me, that we are soulmates, and that she felt we were meant to be together. However, I do not have the same feelings for her. I love her as a friend, but nothing beyond that. We were both emotional, but she said she was glad we talked about this. She left after that. B called me that night and asked me not to talk about our conversation with anyone. I thought a lot about it and decided that I would not tell her fiancé about our conversation from last week. I feel it's their relationship and I do not have the right to ruin their moment if B decides to go ahead with the wedding. However, I feel guilty that her fiancé does not know anything about this and is entering a marriage where B might not be fully ready. Can you give me suggestions on what I should do in this case? Am I an AH for not telling her fiancé about our conversation? User 410 Writer said, "Look, you're definitely not an AH for not spilling the beans to her fiancé. It's her mess to sort out, and you've made it clear that you're not interested in a romantic relationship. However, it might be a good idea to have another heart-to-heart with B, emphasizing the importance of honesty and communication in her relationship. Encourage her to talk to her fiancé about her doubts and feelings before they take the plunge into marriage. Your support as a friend is valuable, but it's ultimately her responsibility to make decisions in her relationship. Drama aside, keep your focus on your healing journey and being there for your daughter." User opening ad said NTA. Let her figure out what she needs to do. Like you said, she's a serial dater and jumps from one relationship to the next. This is probably one of those times. I'm guessing she's an avoidant attachment person or something like that. Not sure what it's really called. You're just the next branch she's grabbing before leaving her fiancé. A month later, OP gave us an update. Again, for context, I lost my wife 2 years ago and we have a 5-year-old daughter. Bree and her fiancé, Jason 33M, moved to our town a year ago and we have reconnected as friends. They have done a lot to cheer me up during this year and help bring my life back to normalcy. After Bree told me that she loved me, I told her that I was still not ready to move on as I still miss my wife. She said she understood, and I did not hear from her or Jason for a few days. The guilt was killing me, as I was not sure if I should tell Jason about what she told me. Thanks to everyone who commented on the post, it helped me think the situation through. I finally called B after a few days and asked her to meet me for lunch. I talked to her and asked her if she was going ahead with her wedding. She broke down and told me she was not sure. I told her that she should at least talk to Jason regarding her feelings and not be dishonest with him. I also assured her that I would not say anything to Jay, but I just wanted her to be happy. She said she understood and left. That night, I put my daughter to sleep and was watching TV. Around 9:30 p.m., I heard a loud knock on my door, and it was Jason. I opened the door, and he was in tears. He started yelling at me and asking me why I had to steal Bree out of all the people. I tried to calm him down, but he just kept on shouting. I was trying to get him to sit down on the bench on our porch. I told him my daughter was sleeping upstairs, but he slowly was getting more and more physical. He punched me in the face, and I was able to push him off. I told him to get out of my house, and he sat in his truck and drove away. I immediately called Bree, and she was crying and did not sound well on the phone. She told Jason that she could not marry him because she had feelings for me. I was really scared for her after the physical altercation with Jason and told her to gather some clothes and get out of the house. She did that and came to my place. I just didn't feel she was safe with Jason. I consoled her for almost 2 hours and was able to get her to sleep. The next morning, we had to call her parents to let them know about what had happened. Bree kept a brave face, but I could see how much she was hurting. Her parents asked her to take a few days off and come back home immediately, so she took a flight in the evening to go home. Over the next 2 weeks, the wedding was called off. Bree and I talked every day, and she was very exhausted. She spoke to Jason a few times, and he kept asking her to take more time to think. However, I think Bree just wanted to get out of it and decided to break it off with Jason. Currently, Bree has been staying with us for the last 2 weeks. She still has a job here and started going back to work last week. I have talked to Bree in detail about what happened. She told me that she and Jason had been dating on and off for the last 4 years. Jason is not very career-oriented, while Bree is very good at her job. She felt he was a nice and reliable person, but was unsure about him from the start. She felt that she was not getting any younger, which is why they decided to get married. When she heard about my wife passing away, she felt really bad and wanted to be around me to comfort me. When she got her big promotion, which meant she could work in a corporate office, she immediately chose my city and moved here. Jason also moved here and got a new job. At that time, she never had any romantic feelings for me. However, as she started hanging out with my daughter and me, she began to feel the bond we shared when we were growing up, except I was the broken one and she was taking care of me. She realized that she was enjoying her time with us more than with Jason. She understood that she had made a mistake with Jason and that what she wanted was right in front of her. Thus, she slowly started thinking about me in that way and finally told me about it. She knew her relationship with Jason was over the moment she confessed to me. It's a difficult situation, but I am glad that she realized this before getting married rather than after. As for Jason, I feel bad for him. He is moving back to our hometown closer to his family. He is currently in their apartment and will move sometime next month. I know many of you may be curious if we are dating. We are not dating. I don't think I can date anyone right now, nor should Bree. She is my friend and I am happy that she is staying with us and plans to be here until everything is sorted out. My daughter loves having Auntie Bree around too, so that's a bonus. Plus, it's really nice to see her slowly get back to normal. User Chaotic Good said, I don't blame you or Jason. I blame Bree only. She should have figured out her issues before wasting everyone's time and money. She shouldn't have put you in the middle of her nonsense. Jason literally had the rug pulled out from under him and you got a fist to the face. She needs to be alone and have a therapist on speed dial. And she owes a lot of people apologies. User Mace 1981 said, I know you didn't deserve to be punched. But for Jason, you, his friend, were the one who stole her, so I can't blame him. I'd honestly not be this supportive of her. It cannot do her any good in the long term to still be living this fantasy life with you. No matter how much you tell her, on some level, she's going to believe you'll change your mind. Those 2 weeks are going to stretch on. You're not exactly proving Jason wrong from his POV, are you? You are living together. 9 months later, OP gave us his final update. I wrote a post 9 months ago about my friend Bree telling me that she loved me a few weeks before she was supposed to get married. For context, I lost my wife 3 years ago, and we have a 6-year-old daughter. Bree and her fiance Jason moved to our town a year ago, and Bree confessed expressed her feelings for me just weeks before her wedding. Things went south quickly, and Bree ended up breaking up with Jason and canceling the wedding. She was staying with us when I last shared an update. I think the story was picked up by some popular YouTube channels, and people have been messaging me to find out what happened afterward. I wanted to maintain our privacy, especially since many of our family members saw the video and recognized my post. They didn't know that Jason had assaulted me, and I had to assure everyone that we were safe and okay. I'm feeling particularly happy this week, so I thought I would share an update. Firstly, the reason Bree moved in with us while Jason was still in town was that I had a temporary restraining order against him. Bree also filed for one but was denied as he had never directly threatened her safety. She said she felt secure with us because of the TRO, and I agreed. Jason didn't cause any issues after that, though he continued texting Bree asking her to work on their relationship. Eventually, he moved back to our hometown in February, and we haven't heard from him since. Bree got her own apartment once Jason left town, but she remained very much a part of our daily lives. I enjoyed having her around, and my daughter loves her. In April, Bree brought up the idea of us dating again. I explained that I wasn't over my wife's death and didn't want to be unfair to her because I still love my late wife deeply. Bree told me she knew she could never replace my wife, nor did she want to. She shared a beautiful analogy. She said, "My heart is like a big pot. It holds a lot of love for my late wife, but it also made room for more love when my daughter was born. Loving her wouldn't erase my love for my wife or daughter. It would simply mean there's more room in my heart than I realized." I took a month to think it over, talking to my mom and mother-in-law, who both encouraged me to give a relationship with Bree a chance. We officially started dating in May, and it's surprising how quickly we fell in love. I think the strong foundation of our friendship helped a lot. The last 6 months have been amazing, and I've never seen my daughter so happy. She's a big chatterbox now and insists that Bree comes to all her school events and recitals. Sometimes I feel a little jealous of their bond and even a bit left out of their little chats. The reason I'm writing this update is that I'm planning to propose to Bree this Christmas. It's not a surprise proposal. We went engagement ring shopping last weekend and finalized the ring. We also have wedding plans for next summer. I know it seems quick, but I can't imagine spending the rest of my life with anyone else. Bree deserves to officially be part of our family. My daughter is thrilled, and she and Bree are already shopping for dresses for the engagement photo shoot. Our families couldn't be happier, and we plan to get engaged at a small gathering of family and friends over Christmas weekend in our hometown. I know some people judged me for taking Bree in after she left Jason, and others judged her for leaving him at the altar. Life isn't easy and things don't always go as planned, but I'm grateful Bree found the courage to tell me how she felt back then. Thank you all again for your support on my last post. User Sweet Interview said, "What a dupe. I knew when she told you she was leaving him for you, it was to deliberately make him think you were a part of it. Of course, you then jumped to the conclusion that she wasn't safe, the person who risked having her in his home with his child. Then she desperately told you, the person whose child she put at risk, that she was only safe in your home because you had a restraining order. Oh, she worked you good. You've been manipulated this whole way, and even when you said you weren't over your ex and needed time, she ensured you didn't have it. She worked on you that whole time, and I hate to tell you, but her ex, his family, and many others probably believed you've been in a relationship this whole time, that you did steal her and you were both already cheating on him. Who wouldn't think that when she was at your door the very night she left him? What a mug. This was never innocent. She moved her fiancé to leave their families and change his career to stalk you deliberately with the hope of being with you. She just didn't want to give up the boyfriend in case you didn't let her near. Then, when you did, she made sure he stayed long enough to cover half the bills until she could get in your door. All these red warning flags, and you expose and risk your daughter to that. Best of luck, I mean it. You will definitely need it with someone so manipulative and scheming." User That Sucks said, "I don't believe in relationships built on betrayal. It may seem sweet and all, but she basically led on another man until you became available. People like that can turn around and do similar things again." This next post was made in the same subreddit by a user named Powerful Activity. The post is titled AITAH for not letting my daughter invite her stepdad to walk her down the aisle. So my 56M daughter, 25F, is getting married next spring. I've been looking forward to this for years, and she and I have always been close. Her mom and I split when she was around 12, and she mostly lived with me after that. I've been in her life full time, so I always figured I'd have that classic father-daughter moment at her wedding. Her mom mom remarried about 5 years ago, and let's just say I'm not a fan of her new husband. He's a guy who always needs to be the center of attention, loud and over the top, and just exhausting. He's pulled stunts even at family gatherings from my side, always making everything about him. I've put up with it to keep things civil, but it's been a challenge for me all the time. I still invite him for my daughter's sake. Fast forward to now, my daughter is wedding planning and told me that she'd like her stepdad to walk her halfway down the aisle with me. I couldn't believe it. I told her that as her actual father, it's a bit hurtful to have to share this big moment with someone who's only been in her life for a few years. I've been there through everything, every school event, every late night, every hard time. Her stepdad has just recently come into the picture, and it stings that she wants to include him in a moment I always assumed was ours. To make things even harder to swallow, I'm covering all the wedding expenses. I've spent a significant amount so she could have her dream wedding. I don't want to be petty, but part of me feels like it's only fair to expect that I'd have the honor of walking her down the aisle, just me and her. She got defensive, saying she wants to include him because he's been supportive, but I explained that to me, this is about a father-daughter tradition and how much I value our relationship. Now she's upset, and my ex-wife has also joined in, saying I'm being selfish and making it all about me. I've now become a full-blown topic of discussion, with everyone throwing some pretty harsh words my way. In frustration, I finally told her that if she really wants him to be there, she should ask him if he'd also like to split the bills. That might have been a bit much, but I was feeling cornered. So AITAH for not wanting to share the aisle with her stepdad, especially since I'm also paying for the whole thing. I just want to add a note here as there is some confusion. My daughter told me she wants him to walk her down the aisle because my ex-wife and her husband asked her to do this. This was not something that she came up with on her own. I just wanted to provide that clarity, as some people are thinking it was my daughter's wish. I have not been able to read all the comments, but I see some people asking for an update on this situation. There are a lot of comments, and I won't be able to reply to every one of them, so I am adding my message here for everyone to read. I didn't expect so many people to comment on this situation, and I'm really grateful for all the perspectives and messages I've received. They made me feel much less alone. I also got some messages about the cost of the wedding. I have to add that this is a destination wedding, so some of the expenses are due to flight costs, my daughter's makeup artist, and a few gifts I'm giving to her. After taking in your advice, I sat down with my daughter to have an honest conversation about everything. I explained why walking her down the aisle was so important to me, how much it means as her father, and why it felt unfair to be asked to share this moment with her stepdad. I apologized to her, trying to express that I never intended to make her worry about the bills. I told her I'm doing this because I love her and want to give her the day of her dreams. I also told her that my previous comments were made out of frustration and that she has nothing to worry about. Unfortunately, the talk didn't go as I'd hoped. She got pretty upset and told me I was ruining her day and that I didn't understand the pressure she was under from everyone to keep the peace. She was worried about her mom getting angry, and when I told her I felt hurt by all of this, she accused me of threatening her and even called me a narcissist. I'll be honest, she used terms I don't fully understand, but it stung. At that point, I finally had enough. I told them that my intent was never to hold anything over anyone, especially not my daughter, and I was only hurt because I wanted a moment with her that I'd looked forward to my whole life. I explained that I was still willing to pay for everything, but my daughter was visibly upset after realizing that her mom and stepdad weren't willing to contribute a cent to the wedding. By the end of it all, my daughter looked heartbroken. I could see she was hurt realizing her mom would rather prioritize her half-brother's college fund years down the line over helping with her wedding now. She told me she needed some space to process everything, and I told her I'd give her all the space she needs. As for my ex-wife, she wasn't done. She said I'd ruined everything and that I was the reason my daughter no longer respects her mother and stepdad. She blamed me for this entire mess, saying I'd manipulated the situation to create a rift between them and my daughter. I'm glad my daughter knows the truth about her mom and stepdad, but I didn't want her to find out this way, so that's where we're at. I'm just trying to be there for my daughter in whatever way she needs. Thank you all again for the support. It's helped me feel a lot less alone in this. I have to mention that my future son-in-law insisted to my daughter that her mom and stepdad should pay for the wedding instead of me. When I talked to him about it afterward, he explained that he wanted my daughter to learn that her mom might not have the best intentions for her. To be fair, he's not a fan of my ex-wife because she's made snarky remarks about his mother in the past, so I know he only did this to get back at my ex-wife. But in the end, this has left my daughter feeling broken. She has a very open heart and trusts people easily. I wanted her to know this was wrong, but not in a way that would make her feel betrayed by her own mother. She carries a lot of pain from the past. Thank you everyone for your kind words. I will end this message here. Wish you all luck. User Blackstarfish said NTA. As a consistently active parent, even into adulthood, this is a significantly special moment for you and your daughter. Whether you're footing the bill for the wedding or not, you alone should be the one walking her down the aisle. I have a feeling that the stepdad is the one who suggested this, not your daughter. She might have just been the messenger. User, if I were in your shoes, said NTA, and after reading your comments, this is one of those moments where you have them in front of you, including her fiance. You start to tear up and get upset and remind your daughter and your ex-wife that she cheated and left. Remind him that he is manipulating your daughter and the situation by involving himself at all, and it is disrespectful to you and what you have done and endured. I would look at your ex-wife at this time and say, I don't deserve this shit. Screw you. And then look at him and say, screw you too. Then look at your daughter and say, if you don't want me to walk you down the aisle, I will come to terms with that. But they can start paying for the remainder of this ceremony now. I want to be a part of your life as I have always been because I love you, but I refuse to be disrespected like this. He is an AH and created this whole scenario and is manipulating you. User Kalark said, I've read many posts here where the daughter wants the stepdad to walk her down the aisle instead of the biological dad, but all of them involve the biological dad being neglectful while they were growing up. If it is indeed, as you said, that you and your daughter are close and that you have been a good and involved dad to her, then it seems unfair and strange that she would want someone else to walk her. Have a calm conversation with your daughter to understand the source of her insistence. It's possible that her mother is putting a lot of pressure on her and she's too overwhelmed with the wedding planning to deal with the stress. Be the person who empathizes with and supports her during this time. If she herself doesn't actually want her stepdad to walk her, then help her voice her position and stand firm. If she genuinely wants her stepdad to walk her, not because of outside pressure, then you will have to accept it and acknowledge that her relationship with her stepdad may not be what you understood it to be. Whether you pull the funds or not is up to you, but in the latter case, it will only damage your relationship in the long run. NTA.